Hello everyone, welcome back once again to round 9 of the US Championship. Things are starting to get heated up in St. Louis. Nakamura and Dominguez are tied for first place heading into round 9 with 5.5 out of 8. Caruana is a close second on 5 points. And not far behind on 4.5 we have Wesley So and Samuel Sevian. In this game, Hikaru Nakamura is playing black against Ray Robson. Robson opens with e4. Hikaru goes for the Sicilian defense. We have knight f3, d6, d4, open Sicilian, pawn takes, knight takes, knight f6, knight c3, and Hikaru goes for the dragon. Both players then proceed to follow the main line of the dragon. So here castles queen d2, intending to castle queenside and at some point go bishop h6. We have knight c6, bishop c4, bishop d7, castles queenside. So this is the main line of the Sicilian Dragon. So here Hikaru decides on rook b8, one of the popular moves. So the intention is to support b5. Robson drops the bishop back, bishop b3, knight a5, and now Robson goes for this common plan of exchanging the dark square bishops. And here Hikaru goes b5, starting his expansion on the queen side. Knight d5 from Robson, and this has all been seen before. So Robson wants to weaken black's control of the h7 pawn. Hikaru decides to first eliminate white's strong light square bishop, and this comes with check. And he pushed e5. So knight takes d5 is playable, but white has a very simple plan here, just pushing the pawn. So Nakamura opted for e5, and what this does is that it allows the queen access to the e7 square to defend 7 rank if necessary. But it does have the drawback of weakening d6. Robson captured the knight, and he played h4. Nakamura played rook b6, overprotecting d6, and also giving black the possibility of doubling on the c-file. So previously the move knight c5 has been played in this position. And after bishop c8, white went knight d3, gearing up for this f4 break. In this game we see the move h5 from Robson. Queen to e7. So maybe Robson should have withheld from immediately capturing on g6 and play the move f4. So the idea here is to play rook d to f1 and push f5. This would have put more pressure on black's position, and if black captures the pawn, this would result in pressure on d6. White also opens up the f-file, and he has access to d4 with his knight. So the downside is that white also has this weak pawn. So maybe Robson should have played f4 in this position, but instead he played h takes g6. And after the recapture, now f4 isn't possible because black controls that square twice. Robson tried to organize this f4 break, albeit a little too slowly. He played queen e3. So he could have tried king b1 as well, with the idea of bringing the knight to d3. But here he goes queen e3. Meanwhile, Hikaru starts organizing his queenside attack. Rook d2, defending c2, but that leaves the rook on f1 unprotected. Hikaru goes a5, we have king b1, a4, knight c1, b4, and now rook d to f2. So Robson is finally ready to resolve that tension on e5, but he has wasted quite a bit of time in doing so. And in the dragon, tempo is key. So here Nakamura took on f4, and he played rook c8. So all of Nakamura's forces are focused on the king. After the game, Nakamura said that on queen to f2, threatening rook f8 check, he was planning to play queen to e7. to defend f8, and he would happily trade the two rooks for the queen on c2. But in the game we see the move rook f6. This seems to come with tempo on the bishop. White plans to go queen f4 and threaten rook f8 check. But black is now ready to strike. Hikaru played rook takes c2, so allowing the bishop to be captured. And here he goes queen c4, forking the rooks. Rook e to f6 played. And now a3. That has to be taken, because if white allows rook takes b2, this is going to be a forced mate. So we have b takes a3, b takes, queen takes a3, and we now have a forcing line from Hikaru, rook takes c1. So this wins back the piece. Should mention that if queen takes c1, then there is queen takes e4, winning the queen. After king a1, rook captures, and now queen e5 picks up the rook. So rook takes c1, we have queen takes e4, king b2, queen to e5 check. And Hikaru picks up the rook. So Robson is only down a pawn here, but his king is terribly exposed. He tried rook f3, but Hikaru went queen d4, just a nice centralization, keeping taps on both b2 and f2. In practice, this is very difficult to hold for white, and probably lost. Robson tried rook to b3, and here black has so many ways to proceed. He can go queen e4 check, he can try rook f8, rook to c8. Rook to f8 is also an interesting idea, but Hikaru goes queen e4 check. We have king c1, queen e1 check, king c2, queen e2 check, king b1. So no better is king c1. Black can go rook c8 check, but here queen f1 is also pretty good, followed by capturing a second pawn. In the game we see the move king b1. Now queen d1 check. Queen f1 is also good. And on queen c1, black can enter into a winning king and pawn ending. So we see queen d1 check, queen c1. So Hikaru could enter into this ending, but he decides to play rook takes b3 and capture on b3. So this is also winning. Hikaru showed no difficulties in converting this position. Let's see how he does it. So we have a few checks, and now he plays queen c5, keeping everything nice and protected. Queen d2, h5, black starts to push those kingside pawns. King b1, king g7, queen b2 check, queen to e5. So you can see that black has a very powerfully centralized queen. So Hikaru continues to make progress. And g5. In this position, Ray Robson resigned. The g2 pawn is soon going to fall, and with 3 pawns, black is winning. After this game, Nakamura said that he felt he needed to win at least 2 of his remaining 3 games to have a decent chance of winning the US Championship. So he chose the Sicilian Dragon for this game against Robson, hoping to surprise Robson, as Hikaru usually replies to Robson's 1e4 with e5. The gamble paid off, and Hikaru is still in the lead, with Dominguez, who also won his game against Wanda Liang. So in the following round, which is round 10, Hikaru will be facing Linear Dominguez, and that game will play a huge part in determining the winner of this US Championship. I hope you enjoyed this game, and as usual, if you like the content, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching and have a great day.